Barry Jackson, a great columnist with the Miami Herald, had some questions about the Miami Dolphins after the loss. Now, I've said it. I wouldn't have given Tua that contract extension because he hadn't earned it. Plus, you look at his record and then you look at his health, and I never would have given him a $167 million contract after the 2023 season. In that season, he went 1-6 against good teams, and they couldn't score more than 22 points. The Dolphins gave him a 4-year, $212 million contract in 2024. They didn't have to because they controlled him through 2026. Fifth-year option, then they could have used the franchise tag on him a couple of times. So this isn't revisionist history on my part. I just couldn't trust him to stay healthy, and I didn't think he was playing great football. You know, for an offensive-minded head coach in Mike McDaniel, and you have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua, they're supposed to lead with their offense. They're supposed to be a team scoring at least 30 points a game. But even last night, 22 of 34, 161, 2 touchdowns, had the interception, passer rating 81. But the Dolphins are 2-10 in his last 12 starts against good teams. But if you look at the point total, that's the thing that stood out for me. Granted, they could have won that game. You get 17 against Philadelphia, 20 against Buffalo, 14 against Kansas City, 22 against Dallas, 19 against Baltimore, 17 against Buffalo, 7 versus Kansas City, 27 versus the Bills, 23 versus the Rams, 17 versus Green Bay, 12 versus Houston, and then 21 last night against Buffalo. So one game where Tua was the quarterback, they went over 23 points against a good opponent. It's not good enough. Won't get it done. And it's not just on him, but that's where you start, him and the head coach. Mike McDaniel and Tua should be on the hot seat. Can't fire the quarterback, but you can fire the coach. But they gave you an idea of they can play. They can be competitive. But Tua got hit once. So it wasn't like, man, Buffalo's defense isn't great, at least not right now. And I thought Buffalo played an okay game. But you got to, at some point you got to win these games. If you stole that game and then you win the standalone game Monday night against the Jets, okay, now we've called off the dogs. The heat dies down a little bit. You're 2-2. But now you got to win the game against the Jets. And that'll be standalone game on a Monday night. And all your problems come forward. Everything is on display. Sometimes that's great when you go, hey, we're going to showcase our talent. This is like, oh, boy. Hope they spend a little more time on the Jets than they do us. But here is the Dolphins head coach, Mike McDaniel, after the loss.
Our expectation was to come in here and win the game, and we knew we had to not turn the ball over, and we knew we had to, try to get at least plus or at least even with them in the takeaway department. And we had to play good football, make some plays. And, we had a turnover in a critical situation. We had a critical penalty against on a punt. Those types of things that's how these types of games are decided. So it feels like a loss and feels like we have a lot of motivation to get back to work.
It feels like when Mike is at the microphone, it's like the press secretary for the White House. Like, I'm going to translate. I'm going to tell you some things. It's not the president who's going to be speaking. It's the press secretary. But it just didn't sound inspiring. And I think we go back to that first loss to the Colts. That set the tone. And then you have a players-only meeting. When you have a players-only meeting after 1 week, that's doom and gloom. There's no excuse. Like, this is the first game of the season. I'm always amazed when a coach says, hey, we weren't ready to play. How's that possible? You had 7 months to get ready to play a game. We weren't ready. Huh? It wasn't like, hey, you have this game and you got a game in 4 days. It was 7 months to get ready. And Tua, it was just, it was just kind of a Tua performance there. And it's not all on him, but, man, we give the quarterbacks too much credit and too much blame. And that's the case right here. Yes, Marvin.
football is the one sport where I will not take we weren't ready to play as an excuse. You had 7 days. Every single week you have 7 days to prepare for the next team. What do you mean? NBA, MLB, NHL, you play every day, basically. You had 7 days. What do you mean you're not ready?
Well, they weren't ready for the opening week against the Colts either.
7 days, 7 months. Either way, they weren't ready.
So the Bills hold off the Dolphins 31-21. They're now 3-0. The Dolphins are 0-3. Is it just me, or does every Bills tight end sound like he has the same name? They got some Dawson and Dalton and like Paulie. There's 3 tight ends there, and it feels like they're on the WB. They're on a show.
Yeah, their quarterback room, as people like to say, is Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and Jackson Hawes.
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. Coming next on the WB.
Oh, yeah.
Will Dawson break it up with Joe? Coming up next.
I kept thinking, I'm getting confused. Is it Dalton Knox? Is it Dawson Knox? Is it Dalton Kincaid?
There you go.
Yeah. It does sound like the starting rotation for Mississippi State's baseball team.
Yes.
Yeah, we got Dawson out there, and then we're going to bring in Dalton out there.
Bringing Carter Hendricks out the bench.
They sounded like fake names to me. Like, okay. And they love their tight ends there in Buffalo. All right, Todd, would you like to give us the 3 poll questions that you came up with at 2 in the morning?
The first one we've already touched on, was last night a moral victory for the Dolphins in Buffalo? The choices being, absolutely, they stood toe-to-toe with a much better opponent. That's keeping it positive. Absolutely not. They still lost by double digits. Third choice, there are no moral victories, only losses, especially at the 0-3 mark of your season.
I think it depends on what the expectation level was or is for the team. The Dolphins are supposed to be a playoff team, or at least on the cusp of being a playoff team. I don't think you can have moral victories if you're a team that's supposed to be a playoff contender. I think the Browns can have a moral victory, or Carolina can have a moral victory, a couple of these teams, but not many, because I think the NFL is built in a way that everybody should be kind of hovering around 7, 8, or 9 wins. And the Dolphins should be that kind of team. I don't think it's a moral victory. I think this is who they're supposed to be. It's not like they played out of their minds where we go, wow, that was a big surprise. It wasn't a surprise to me because they're built for offense. And they stayed in the game. And when it came to crunch time, Tua's, QBR, if you follow that, is terrible. In the last 5 minutes of a game, in a 1-score game, he has a terrible QBR. I mean, that's where these games are won and lost. That's the difference between my quarterback and your quarterback. How many times did we do that with Brady? How much time's left? 2 minutes. What's he need? He needs a touchdown. Damn, you guys are going to lose. Mahomes, Montana, Elway, run down the list of great quarterbacks of all time. Now, Tua's not in that category, but I expect Josh Allen to do that. I expect Lamar Jackson to do that. I don't expect Tua Tagovailoa to do it. If I do, I'm surprised, but he does have weapons. He's got 2 of the fastest guys in the NFL. He's got the fastest guy in the NFL. Oh, yeah, I just 2-yard passes here. That's all I need to do. It's 2 yards and you take it 30. We both get credit for a 30-yard touchdown pass. But that's not a moral victory.